Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the phenomenal Sonoma Raceway, and we're out here today driving the new Nismo Nissan Z. The Nissan Nismo Z. Quite a lot of changes, and yes, there is no manual. It is a 9-speed automatic gearbox only, so proceed to go wah, wah, wah. But this is supposedly a track-focused product, right? So we're going to test it on the track, and they're making us do lead follow, but my lead is actually very fast, and we're using him to get some fast car to car as well. So I had to go in the regular Z Performance to sort of calibrate myself for what to expect, and now here we are in the Nismo. Things you need to know. Nissan's customers, they say, according to them, wanted a track-ready car that was both engaging, but more importantly, focused on fast lap times. They say their people really cared about that, and this delivers. So we've got a reinforced body, the firewall and front suspension structure, as well as the rear suspension structure, is reinforced. It's 12% more torsional rigidity. Okay, you've also got the aero kit, which they say produces real downforce, but they won't give us an exact number. It does look like it makes the air flow smoother around the car for sure. You've got bigger Akebono brakes, 380 millimeter in the front with a more aggressive pad and a bigger 4-piston caliper. You've got stiffer bushings, higher spring rates, a larger shock body, which basically makes everything firmer all around. The wheels are raised wheels, and they are wider by 10 millimeters in the rear, 285 Dunlop tires, 200 tread wear in the rear, a track-ready tire. They won't tell me exactly how much lighter the wheel is, but they say it is a bit lighter. The front mouth is a little wider for better cooling. There's also a better intake, a more efficient intake, and a new tune, independent ignition spark control, and an overboost function, which gives you 420 horsepower and 384 torque. That's a plus 20, plus 34 versus the Z Performance. The 9-speed gearbox upshifts 27% faster and downshifts 50% faster with new software and new clutch plates. You've got these Recaro bucket seats, full manual, and actually very comfortable. The price is $66,000, which is $13,000 more than a performance model, and it weighs 3,704 pounds, which is 102 pounds heavier. So we're going to go out on the track and see if the combination of improvements, which you could not do in the aftermarket, by the way. You could not replicate this car in the aftermarket. Let's see how that feels from behind the wheel. And I need to open my shirt because I'm getting a little sweaty. All right, let's do it. Drive, manual mode. Traction control is fully disabled. We do not need it. And we're off. Guys, you know, we wouldn't be able to make these videos without our sponsors, and today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp. You've heard me talking about them and talk therapy in general in the past. I've personally used talk therapy to help me get through a variety of issues in my life, whether it's anxiety, depression, relationships, substances, eating, you name it. But it can be really hard to find a therapist, especially post-pandemic, right? But that's where BetterHelp comes in. BetterHelp is a better talk therapy service. You see, it's entirely online, and regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or you're just a human living in 2023 who's going through a hard time, talk therapy with BetterHelp can give you the tools to approach your life in a totally different way, right? It's BetterHelp's mission to make therapy more accessible, more affordable, and more convenient, and I believe they do all three of those things. You see, BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier than ever. It's all online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions on their survey, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist through their thousands-deep network
right? And you can get started in just a few days. And because finding a therapist is a little bit like dating, it may not work out with the first or even the second therapist you try. That's why I love that if you don't match with a therapist well, you don't really mesh, BetterHelp can help you switch to another therapist easily and at no additional cost without having to worry about insurance or any of that kind of stuff. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist now. There is a link in the video description, or head over to betterhelp.com/smokingtire. And thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video.
I'm a little big for this car with a helmet, but if I take the helmet off, reasonably comfortable. I do love the Z because it is its own character. It's not platform shared or powertrain shared. It's true to that. And this Nismo version, they are very proud of. And so let's see how it does. Right away, the first thing I notice is that everything is much, much tighter. In the same way a 911 GT3 is much, much tighter than a regular Carrera. The steering has a little extra weight to it. The suspension is definitely firmer, but not abusive on the track. I'm going to drive it on the street later, and you can read about that in my road and track review, but this video is track only. The turn-in, very sharp. And I do love how these tires feel. This whole track is third and fourth gear with a hint of fifth in the 9-speed gearbox. Really no understeer, very balanced. Don't want to go too much into the throttle too early there, but I am seeing 1.4 G in the downhill left-hander there. Keeping this in third is the way to go. The Nismo seems to be a little different from the Z Performance in that when you hit the rev limiter, it doesn't die. It doesn't upshift for you, it holds the gears, but it definitely doesn't die as much, and I like that. The brake pedal feels much, much nicer. Feels tighter, not heavier, but just much, much more confidence in the braking. The rear brake hardware is the same. All the upgrades are to the front brake hardware. But everything feels more lively, but also tighter. The real standout of the Performance Z on track was that everything was very soft. It's a nice daily, but it just wasn't tight, especially over that bump in the middle of turn one. This is much, much tighter, much quicker to respond to your individual inputs. I really like these seats. It's not that these seats are reminiscent of the European Focus RS seats, which we never got, and they're great. See right there, there's a couple of places on this track where just standing it on the rev limiter is the way to go, as opposed to going up and down again. And that was one of those places where you just hang on it in third for a second. The downshifts are impressively smooth. You really can't feel the downshifts through the seat, and I like that very much. When you cross the camber there, you got to use a little extra attention, but still consistent. I got the G meter up here. Consistent 1.4 G in that downhill. I saw 1.1 to 1.2 G in the Z Performance. So the chassis and tire improvements do make a difference. My lead car is slowing down a little bit because he knows I want that car-to-car shot. He's a very smart man. The car behaves really well in off-camber situations. Like I said, I've got all the systems turned fully off, and it doesn't have any bad behaviors. It does what it is told to do. I really love the shape and the size of the steering wheel. If you recall, it is identical to the R32 GTR, one of the best steering wheels of all time. Right here, this bumpy section there, the Z Performance really moved around a lot. This one keeps it nice and tidy. The brake pedal is really holding up well. No noticeable fade of any kind. I like it. I really, really like it. The people who built this car are serious. And no matter what you think about the availability of the manual gearbox, obviously I'm a diehard manual gearbox fan. To judge this car on its own merits, it is a absolutely delightful automobile. Another 1.4G. It just does it over and over. Right here, and the other car I kept going to second. That's a mistake. You can use that 384 pounds of torque in third gear more efficiently than you can by going down the extra gear. And I didn't need to go to fifth there either. I could have kept it in fourth and rode the line there. The car has some great feel. I don't feel like there's anything in between my inputs and the car's actions, which is great. If you have the revs, it will give you the gear. One possible downside is 91 octane. I'm told by some of the other folks here that you do lose about 30 horsepower on California 91 compared to 93. I don't really know what they can do about that, if anything, but got a little light there. My rear tires are heating up as you go over that crest. We'll keep it tidy here as well. Ride the red line there, that's more effective. Starting to get just a little bit of softness in the brakes there. When I drove the original Z, it was Vegas in August, and the brakes got very hot, but it was different conditions from today, much cooler in Sonoma, and also we have a faster track with longer distances in between braking zones, so the brakes can cool just a little bit more. Just starting to get a little bit of heat into those brakes though. All right, now we're going to cool it down as we go back to the pits. As is to be expected, although Nissan have optimized this car for racetrack performance and lap times, the resulting car is much, much, much more engaging than the regular car, much more controlled and firmer and responsive, to the point where it particularly bums me out that there's no manual, because I think it will make a fantastic street car as well. This is the one I want. And yes, at $66,000 delivered, it is expensive. And it only comes in 5 colors, and none of them are bright and vibrant, and that bums me out a little bit too. But, again, to judge the car on its merits, ignoring what's not available, just as it is, this is a engaging, fast, fun performance car that I think would be great for a streetable weekend car or an occasional track day toy. I wouldn't say you should do a race car, but it's fun. Oh, they've got us on a drag strip here, and I think they want us to use the launch control. I probably want to be in automatic, not manual. No, okay. All right, so I'm in automatic. I'm in Sport Plus.
Yeah, so the sequence is left foot all the way down the brake. Pull back on the paddles.
Both paddles.
Both paddles. And then
Okay.
and then the foot all the way to the floor on the A pedal. So you'll see launch control pop up.
Right, and do I launch by releasing the paddles or the brake?
The brake.
You release the paddles first,
And then release the brake.
And right foot just stays planted the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, you heard him. Left foot, stand on the brake, hold the paddles, launch control sequence, and here we go. Lots of spinning tires, spin second, chirps third. And 90, 100, 110, 115. You know, it's not slow, and the launch control works. Got a little wheel spin out of the hole there, chirp second, chirped third. When you get an automatic chirping third, I like that. I am pro. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I think you should all go hit the link in the video description to read my column about this car for Road and Track. It'll probably have some more technical details. I only got the presentation right before I got in the car, so I did the best with the technical details, but there will definitely be more. There's a lot of changes, and there's changes that you can't make at home. So, like I said, I'm sad there isn't a stick. That's a bummer. Maybe if you guys bitch enough, there will be a stick. But overall, this is a very fun car, compelling product, and the changes that the Nismo team have made have resulted in an incredibly engaging track or canyon ready car that's fun. It's a little expensive, but I get it. The changes that are deep. They're not superficial, so it costs money to do that stuff. So thank you to Nissan for letting me have a go. Thanks to you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.
And remember, always fight your tickets. Use code TST10 on the Off the Record app available in the Android and iOS store, or go to offtherecord.com/TST.